Beardo Benjo.
Pretty much everyone in the VR community has been getting all hot and bothered about the PlayStation VR 2 recently. And to be honest, I can't really blame them. Have you seen these specs? This thing looks insane. A resolution of 2000 by 2040 per eye, an OLED screen, inside-out tracking, 110 degrees field of view. Whew, it's hot. It's too hot. I'm getting... Whew. It's pretty obviously a beast, and this thing is going to blow us away in terms of what it can do for the VR industry and hopefully bring some top-tier AAA experiences to the consumers. Now, I haven't even spoken about the haptics. This thing also has haptics in the controllers, much like the DualSense controller on PS5 already has. It has haptics in the face. In the face! So if someone throws like a tomato at me in VR and it hits me in the face, I can only assume my face is going to vibrate. I don't know how that's going to work, but it intrigues me and it excites me. And all this hype is building when we haven't even seen what the thing looks like. Because really, does it matter what it looks like? It definitely matters how comfortable it is, but I don't care if it looks like a double-decker bus that I strapped to my face. All I'm here for is these incredible new VR experiences. Now, I haven't really spoken about the PSVR 2 yet because I'm not typically a tech channel. That's not really what puts the lead in my pencil. Is that something people say? Do people say that? Does it basically just mean an erection? I don't know. But the tech details and the minutiae and the finer points aren't really what get me out of bed in the morning. The things that get me excited and the reason I make content for this channel is games. I love video games. I love them so much and I absolutely adore VR games. And that's the part that's getting me excited. I'm getting quietly excited and my brain's starting to run away with itself and imagine all the amazing experiences that we might get on PlayStation VR 2 due to the incredible wealth of IP that Sony own and have power and sway over due to existing relationships or money. So today I'm just going to kind of fantasize for a few minutes about the potential of some games that could come to PlayStation VR 2 that I would absolutely love. These things, if they ever happen, would absolutely blow me away and I'd love to see them land on PSVR 2. So without further ado, is it a Jew or a do? I can't speak today and I don't know why. Without further wasting time, these are the games I'd love to see come to PlayStation VR 2 in some shape or form at some point in the future. Up first, one of PlayStation's biggest IPs and probably one of the biggest IPs in gaming right now, God of War. I absolutely loved the last God of War game and my hype levels for Ragnarok are off the charts. But if Sony could pull off a VR experience set in the God of War world where ideally you'd play as Kratos, because let's be honest, with the amazing haptics they're introducing to the PlayStation VR 2 controllers, I want to throw that axe and I want to feel the haptics tell me that it's left my hand. And then when I call it back after it's smashed through 30 or 40 demon heads, I want to feel when that axe connects with my hand. The haptics have the power to do that. Imagine playing a first person or even a third person God of War experience in VR, becoming Kratos, slashing your way through the Hellspawn. Oh my god, it would be absolutely incredible. We have something similar on PSVR. We've got Asgard's Wrath, which is a very similar game in terms of its tone and its setting and the creatures and the world that it's presenting, but it isn't something to the quality and polish of a God of War game. Now, God of War is traditionally quite fast and frantic, and there's nothing to say that it couldn't be a third-person experience, but personally, I'd love to embody Kratos and run around that world, experiencing everything it has to offer in a first-person perspective in VR. I would absolutely love it, and let's hope it happens. If they're going to do Horizon, what's to say they won't do some of their other big IPs? Now, this next one might seem absolutely insane and like it would never ever happen in a million billion years, but there is a tiny bit of information that I'll share with you which makes me think it's more possible than it might first seem. Bloodborne, or Demon Souls, or Dark Souls, some kind of From Software Souls-like project designed for VR or designed with a VR mode in mind. Now, the reason I think there is a chance that FromSoft might jump into VR and give us something for the PlayStation VR 2 is because they've already done it for PlayStation VR. Deracine, which I've definitely pronounced incorrectly, is a 2018 From Software PlayStation VR exclusive. Now, it's nothing like Bloodborne or Demon's Souls or Dark Souls. It's a completely different game altogether. But what this project shows is that From Software are willing to make VR games. They're willing to work with that medium and see what it can do. Given the increased power of the PlayStation 5 and the amazing specs of the PlayStation VR 2, perhaps now's the time for them to work on a Souls-like project or mode for a Souls-like game in VR. Now, I would spend the rest of my days in that game. Dark Souls, Demon's Souls, all the Soulsborne games, they're my absolute favourites. So this is a bit of wish fulfillment for me, but there is a glimmer of hope there. They've worked with VR before. They have an existing relationship with Sony, with Bloodborne and the Demon's Souls remake, which of course came from Bluepoint, but there's contractual things going on there. I would absolutely love to see a Souls product in VR, whether it's third person or first person. Immersing myself in those incredible worlds would be mind-blowing, and I would never want to come out. This one's gonna happen, isn't it? So it's probably not worth talking about much. Gran Turismo. It just makes sense. The last Gran Turismo for PS4 did have a PSVR mode, and it was very good, but it wasn't a fully fleshed out or realised component of the game. What I'd like to see with the PlayStation VR 2 is almost an incorporation of VR modes into flat screen games, things that are built in as standard. So you buy Gran Turismo and the game is completely playable flat screen normally, but there's also a VR mode which gives you all the suite of options and suite of modes that are available in flat screen just in VR, with VR motion controls, haptic feedback, and all the bells and whistles that the PSVR 2 can supply. Now, a huge racing game in VR like Gran Turismo would be a massive win for PlayStation VR 2, because still now, at this point in time, the Quest doesn't have a killer racing game. We've got Dash Dash World, which is a Mario Kart style game, but we don't have a proper racing game, and I find that very, very strange considering how well racing games translate to VR. Gran Turismo is a dead shoe-in. I'm sure we're going to get it, and I'm sure it's going to look absolutely amazing on that new headset. This next one is another one that I think is 100 million% guaranteed to happen. Astro Bot Rescue Mission 2, or Astro Bot VR 2, whatever they decide to call it. I think this one's a shoe-in because the first game is still one of the very best PSVR games you can buy. It's one of the best VR platformers you can buy. It's up there with Moss and Lucky's Tale, and I'd actually say it's probably the best one. It's the closest thing we've got to a full-fledged Mario quality game in VR. And Astro Bot has become basically the PlayStation mascot. He's the character now that introduces people how to use new tech and new features. The Astro Bot experience on the PlayStation 5 is still probably one of the best PS5 games I've played, teaching you how to use the haptics, teaching you how everything works. It was engaging, it was colourful, it was amazing. And I'd love to see that for PSVR 2. I actually wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what we get when PSVR 2 launches. A free experience bundled in, starring Astro Bot, where he teaches you how to use all the amazing features of that new VR headset. I'd personally love to see it, and hopefully it's a fully fleshed out experience, but I think this is a shoe-in. I think we're definitely going to see Astro Bot on PSVR 2 at some point. Next, we have a heavily rumoured PlayStation VR 2 exclusive in the form of Resident Evil Village VR. Now, people have been talking about this one for quite some time, and I get it. The thought process tracks. Capcom are one of the bigger game devs right now who are actually engaging with VR and signing off on VR products. They clearly believe in the technology. They gave us Resident Evil 4 just recently for the Quest, which was a huge hit and made a butt ton of money. But before that, they gave us the VR mode for Resident Evil 7 exclusively on PlayStation VR. And that's the big link that makes me think Sony probably have the sway over Capcom and the existing relationship with Capcom to be able to say, hey, how about you do the same for Village? Now, I'd love to see this being an update to existing copies of Village so that owners of that game with a PS5 are already incentivized to go and buy a PSVR 2 when the headset comes out because they already have a game. that's going to work. I'd love to see hand tracking, I'd love to see haptics, but who knows what they'll be able to pull off. The original Resi 7 VR mode was just controller. You couldn't move the hands, but I'd like to hope that Capcom want to push that forward and really experiment with the amazing tech that Sony are bringing to PSVR 2. Fingers crossed, this rumour becomes truth. Time for another rumour now. Half-Life Alyx comes to PlayStation VR 2. I definitely think this one's going to happen, and so do a lot of people online, it would seem. Everyone's talking about this rumour pretty openly. I've even seen some gaming publications print this like it's a certainty, like it's definitely going to happen. And I understand it. It's mutually beneficial for both Valve and Sony to get this amazing VR game into as many capable headsets as possible, and the PlayStation VR 2 looks very, very capable. Half-Life Alyx is still the best VR game I've played to date. It's the most content complete package I've experienced in VR. It's a full-length story, it's not an experience. The interactions in there are amazing, the voice acting is incredible, the characters are believable, the combat is slick. It's a fantastic game, and I'd love to play it again on that new headset with that amazing resolution and high field of view, and again the haptics. The haptics are going to push these experiences beyond what we currently have. If they're anything like what we've already got in the DualSense controller, it's going to blow people's minds, and I would go back to Half-Life Alyx just for that. I really hope this one happens, because Alyx is a game as many people as possible deserve to play, and I think it should be on more systems, but it makes sense that it's not on a system like the Quest, because the Quest just wouldn't be able to give this game the justice and the service that it deserves. I'm currently working on a script for an upcoming video where I talk about all the existing Spider-Man VR games, and then I talk about how much they all really suck. Because they do suck. We don't yet have a good Spider-Man VR game, and that's crazy to me, because the dream of becoming Spider-Man is so real for so many people, and VR is the best place to realise that dream. Because if I go up to the top of my house with a rope and try to swing from this house to the house across the street, I'm definitely going to die. So I want to do it in VR in a safe way, and I'm sure a lot of people want to become Peter Parker or Miles Morales and swing around New York. But the current options we have just aren't good enough. Now, I think the stage is perfectly set for us to finally get a proper Spider-Man VR game on the PSVR 2 due to two main factors. Firstly, as I've said, the specs for this thing are incredible, and it will make you feel like Spider-Man. Imagine shooting the web and getting the haptics. Oh my god, it will feel so good. But the biggest factor here is Insomniac. Insomniac are currently making amazing Spider-Man games that are already absolutely fantastic. And they've made VR games before, amazing VR games for PC VR and Oculus, games like Stormlands and Edge of Tomorrow, which were amazing and incredibly underrated. They have the experience in-house to make good VR products, and they're making Spider-Man games already. Let's do it. Give us the Spider-Man VR game we all deserve, a proper Spider-Man VR game. None of this rubbish we currently have that people keep trying to tell you is good, because it's not. I want a proper one. It's time for a proper one. I'm not going to sit here and hate on Larcenauts. That's not why I'm here today. But when I heard that Impulse Gear, the creators of Farpoint, were making a game for Quest, I was so excited. Because Farpoint is one of the best and most underrated games for the PlayStation VR. It's an amazing alien sci-fi shooter that felt like Starship Troopers VR at times, but a more isolated, lonely experience because you didn't have a squad shooting those terrifying spidery creatures with you. It was just you, abandoned on an alien planet, blasting those creatures as they ran towards you, and some of them were absolutely huge. So when they made Larcenauts, which is effectively an Overwatch style shooter, I was a little bit disappointed. But PlayStation VR 2 would be the perfect time to bring Farpoint back to life. That game had so much potential, so much unrealised potential, and I think I'd love to see a sequel to it. I think a lot of people would absolutely love to see a sequel to it. And Impulse Gear would be the right studio to do that because they proved with the first one they know how to make a game like that. And with this new tech, it could be even more incredible. As a side point, I also hope that a lot of those original PSVR games get updates to support the new controllers and the new gear and the new headset, because Farpoint would be an amazing game to revisit with proper motion controls and haptic support and a higher refresh rate. Oh my god, that would be a game that I would recommend to everyone. It's an awesome shooter and everyone should play it, and I'd love to see a sequel. Another VR game now that I think would absolutely dominate if it was released today on existing VR headsets and hardware. Rigs. Rigs was done dirty. That game was a launch title for the PlayStation VR, and it was actually the first PSVR game I went hands-on with at EGX Res back before the PSVR came out. I strapped in, jumped into the mech, and it blew me away. That sold me on the entire VR experience for PSVR, and I bought one on day one. Now, Rigs was a mix between basketball, football, and combat with mechs, and it felt so good to play, but it just didn't find the audience, and it didn't retain an audience that were playing it regularly enough to make it something that was going to sustain throughout the entire life cycle of the PSVR. That kind of game now on the Quest, on PlayStation VR 2 and on PC VR headsets with ideally crossplay would be amazing. It's definitely time to resurrect Rigs and give us all that weird combination of basketball, combat and mechs that I've been craving more of ever since I played it back when PSVR launched. Did you ever play the PlayStation VR exclusive Call of Duty VR experience? If not, don't worry about it, it was absolutely shit and it's not worth your time. However, that's not to say a Call of Duty VR game couldn't be great if done correctly, and I think now is the time to make that game. I'm actually really surprised we haven't had it up until now. However, the stage is set. PlayStation and Activision have an existing relationship when it comes to Call of Duty games. This most recent Call of Duty is the first one in a few years that hasn't had some kind of Sony exclusive for the PlayStation ecosystem. So maybe now Sony need to go to Activision and say, hey, now's the time. We've got this crazy new VR headset coming out. How about you make us a VR version of a brand new COD game or an existing COD game? Ideally, I'd love to see the Modern Warfare trilogy pushed into VR with motion controls. I wouldn't even mind if they didn't get the multiplayer in there. I just want the campaigns. The multiplayer would be the cherry on top of the cake, but those campaigns in VR would be absolutely phenomenal. Resident Evil 4 has proven that old games pushed into VR transforms them completely. So give us the Modern Warfare trilogy in VR, or just a Call of Duty game in VR. I want to see how well it translates, and maybe now is the time with PSVR 2. Supermassive Games are another dev team that I'm pretty certain will do something for the PlayStation VR 2. Now personally, I'd like it to be Rush of Blood 2. Rush of Blood is one of my favourite PSVR games, and I will always fondly remember putting friends and family, unsuspecting friends and family, into that game and then standing back and watching as they absolutely crap themselves. Supermassive are geniuses when it comes to crafting great horror stories and great jump scares that feel earned, and Rush of Blood was a great example of that. Their second VR game, The Inpatient, was a little bit of a misstep in my personal opinion, but I'd still like to see them explore that kind of storytelling in VR with a much more advanced VR headset and pair of controllers. They're now working on the Dark Pictures anthology, and I'd love to see one of those games in VR. The choice system, where things play out differently depending on who survives and who dies, would be a great concept for a VR game that I don't think has actually been seen yet. Whatever it is they end up doing, because I'm pretty confident they'll do something, I hope it's a spooky game, and I hope it's Rush of Blood 2. I just want a Rush of Blood 2. I want more roller coasters with more weapons and more spooky, creepy girls and creatures jumping out at me. That's what I want. Please, let them make it, Sony. For me. Just for me. I mention this next game in almost every video I make about VR games that I wish existed. And I mention it as many times as I can when talking about VR games that I wish existed. Maybe now is the time to finally give us Bioshock VR. The Bioshock VR trilogy, ideally, is what I would like, and Sony have the money and the power and the pull over some of these other studios and existing relationships with these other studios to make things like Bioshock VR finally become a reality. It's just gotta be time, and I know it's an older game, but again, as I've said in this video previously, Resident Evil 4 has shown that you can breathe complete new life and transformation into some old games by transferring them into VR. You find yourself playing in new ways, utilising the environment around you to duck and cover and do things you wouldn't traditionally do in a flat screen game. And Rapture and Columbia offer so many amazing unique environments to utilise VR mechanics, and I just want to see it. Before I die, I'd love to play Bioshock VR. I'd like to hope I have a few more years to realise that dream, but I'd like to see it happen sooner rather than later. And I'd like to hope and think that PSVR 2 is finally the time for Sony to call up their mates at 2K and say, come on, it's time, let's do it. Let's do Bioshock VR. Let's make it for Benjo. He wants it, he'll buy it. It's one copy sold. 40 quid in the bank. It'll probably cost about 40 quid, I imagine. I'll pay it, I don't mind it. 50 quid, I'll pay it. I don't care, I want it. I want it. And that brings me to the end for now. I could carry on all day long. My mind is honestly boggling at all the potential opportunities that are slowly starting to come to the surface now that PlayStation are really going all in with VR, and this new PSVR 2 headset looks absolutely stunning. I really truly hope I'm able to pre-order one and get hold of one and start making content as soon as physically possible, because this thing has me crazy excited. Sony have the money and the pull and the passion to get some seriously impressive existing IPs and some seriously impressive new IPs into VR. We're going to finally see some true AAA VR products coming through, and of course I'd love to see some of my favourite franchises getting that treatment, which is why the games I've reeled off today are some of my favourite franchises. But Sony announcing the PSVR 2 alongside a Horizon VR product, one of their biggest, most beloved IPs right now, shows that they're willing to take risks with existing IP and marrying it to VR and new VR technology. And I think that's so exciting. I could honestly go on all day. What about The Last of Us? What about The Last of Us? Oh my god, that would be amazing. You could smash Joel with a golf club in VR. It would be crazy. I'm gonna leave it here. I can't talk about these games all day. This video will be 20 hours long. What games do you want to see on PSVR 2 whenever it eventually launches? I know there could be a long laundry list, but drop them in the comments down below. Please do leave a like if you've enjoyed, and please do hit subscribe for more weird VR content and ramblings from me. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. See you later.